Okay, pressing the red button. Right, it looks like I don't have to justify myself to you. Third video of the day, and I had an urge then to say, actually I've got quite a lot done today besides making videos, and then decided to say that I don't have to justify myself to you. Anyway, I've decided to go for it for the big project because Alan in comments has inspired me. I've got some ground rules. They're not just for Alan, who to me is a new boy, a new face, so I don't know how that's going to work out, but for anybody that wants to play on the project. Right, I realise that what we're going to have to do is what in the late 70s, mid-late 70s, on my Sinclair ZX85, could you even call it a computer then? I was making this game for, not Star Wars, what do you call it? Space Invaders, that one. And it just seemed to always involve if-then go-to subroutines in the, could you even call it programming? If-then go-to. If that doesn't exist in programming anymore, which I very much doubt it does, what we're going to have to do is something like a flow chart, where you come from here, and if the answer is this in that top box, then you go on to the next thing. If the answers say whatever it is, then you have to go all the way back to the beginning again. Now, you don't know what I'm talking about for the moment, and you might never know what I'm talking about, but this is the project, so stay tuned, as they say. I've given it some thought today, and it's horrendously difficult. Really difficult. Now, a couple of things I've realised, that a lot of it is like mental math, as in you're doing a mental summation of some numerical problem, and you have to hold in your short-term memory, which is what, 3 seconds or 4 seconds, say the results of your computation which gave you the digits number, and then the next computation which gives you the 10 number, and now you're doing the hundreds one, so you've got to work that out, and then you're going to add the tens, and then you're going to add the digits which are being held in your short-term memory. And a lot of this comes down to something like that. And I've found just today that there doesn't seem to be any way round that. You as general people that have got to get on with your life all think, well, just give us the fucking number. But it's something like the mind doesn't either believe the number, you know, the result, or it doesn't accept the result unless it's done this difficult bit of computation. And if it can do this difficult bit of computation, holding these two things in short-term memory while doing this one, obviously it's not math. If it was, I'd be stuck. It just has to be done somewhere along the line. I am sure that we will find that it has to be done, something the equivalent of that. And most 90% of people will obviously not be bothered to do that. And if I come up with some way of explaining that without having to do the equivalent of the mental acrobatics, I will be telling you. But I think I have not attempted this in the past is because this is so difficult. And you, on your own, you can get some sort of advancement, but you soon realise that explaining it to anybody would be Sisyphitic. Sisyphitic. That's the guy that has to roll a boulder up the hill, and when he gets to the top he's got to do it again. Or somebody tickles him halfway up and he drops it and he's got to do it again. Horrendously difficult. Really difficult. Okay. On my next line, I've got no attributions. What I mean by this is, if we get into this and somebody starts quoting dead Germans, or Solo said that, or it's been proved that Solo was wrong because of what somebody else said, well, fuck that, alright? Absolutely fuck that. If you believe what some dead German says or whatever, just tell me as you've just invented it. I don't want to know that you've stolen it off a dead German. Then I can ask you questions about it and you'll be able to tell me because you've understood it. You believe it. This is what you have as your understanding. So I can ask you. I don't want you to then say, well, then somebody said this about what he said about... I don't want to know. If you want to say something, I want it to come out of here. So if it has to be inquired into, I know you've said it because you've got it in here, not because you're just quoting it from a book. It's like Mrs. Jennings taught you 2 and 2. Each time you say that 2 and 2 is 4, you don't have to quote Mrs. Jennings. You can say 2 and 2 is 4 because that's what you believe. It's that sort of thing that I'm getting to. Okay. There'll be a few people that won't want to answer in comments because I'm often very brusque in comments. Brusque is the posh word for fucking rude, which I probably will still be because that's happened in the past and it's likely to happen in the future. But if you want to not get involved in comments and see your comments on YouTube, most of you know that I'm Mystic, and most of you I think know that I am at, squiggly at, Over the Peak, that was the name of the website, which was a .com, so I am Mystic at overthepeak.com. Now, you can email me, but email me nicely, like I said yesterday, with things like questions. Oh, don't you think, Mystic, that? Or wouldn't it be that? Don't write out pages of your theory of the universe. I'm not likely to be interested in pages of your theory of the universe. A nice little question that's really bugging you that you don't want to put in YouTube's comment, but you really would like a Mystic direct answer on. Mystic at overthepeak.com. Don't abuse it, but use it freely, but also know that I'm a bit weird, so anything can happen. That's about it really for the ground rules. We'll just give it a go. I'm just thinking now, this is me going thinking of things in the background. Shall I give you an idea what we're after? I don't think I even can. There's no point. There's no point. The whole thing is such a huge thing and it goes so much round and round and backwards and falls back on itself and round and forwards and backwards and on itself. It's no point me starting. The only thing to do for me is to start and get into it. We're going to make mistakes, either together or I'm going to make mistakes. You're going to see my mistake. If I see my mistakes, I'll soon hold up my hand and say, I've made a mistake, and I'll correct it and go back and start again. A lot of people then will drop out because if they see that I'm making mistakes and going back, they won't want to be involved because they only want to know somebody that knows all the answers and can go straight to them. And it's just easier that way. They don't have to think, and I can be the God guru that knows everything. I'm not a God guru. I don't know everything. I'm quite good at moving between what I call on this side that I've been habitually having here as the reality and the story reality. I can see reality, I can see story reality, and I can move between them, and I can talk about what happens in between. I'm quite good at that. I'm quite a reasonable person. But I very soon become unreasonable if other people are unreasonable. So, as long as we're reasonable, we're reasonable. The chances of us getting anywhere are vanishingly small. because this is YouTube. I'm no genius, you're no genius, and we could go to the books and see what the experts have said through the ages. I think I made this after the last book on the history of philosophy that I read, that it was only a little book, this one. I've read bigger ones, but this one was only a little one. But it just emphasised again what a complete pile of shite philosophers have come up with through the ages. Absolute, complete shite. So the chances are that we're going to do the same, because we aren't special. So we can try and keep it reasonable, but there's going to be some wild shit flying around. I'll try and keep it together, and because I don't mind touching shit and pushing the shit in the right places, or what I think are constructive places. But if people are just coming in and throwing shit for the sake of it, I'll just make a video saying that this particular person is, what do you call it, the comments are deleted or they're blocked or something. I've got no compunction about throwing comments off or blocking people. And we'll see how we go. It might be interesting and it might not. We'll just have to see how we go. So that's it. I'll see you in the great project future. May the Lord save us all. Bye.